Now let's take a look at my Nations League roster. Agree with all of you on the goalkeepers. Here's my one difference. I got John Brooks. I was surprised he was in the 60-man roster.
Dude, I put him in and I took him out of both of them, just thinking like, if you bring him in, what's his role? If you take him out, what's his role in the next tournament? I ended up removing him in the end from the Gold Cup, but keep going.
I have him. So I don't have Walker Zimmerman in. I think he'll be part of the Gold Cup. I have Anthony Robinson, Miles Robinson, Chris Richards, Serginho Dest, and Joe Scally, John Brooks, and Mark McKenzie. I got Brooks in. I was surprised to see him in the 60-man roster. Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, I don't know if you need him for a whole month. And I think this is going to play into a lot of the Gold Cup decisions. But over a week or 10 days, let's bring him back into the team. He started to pick up his game, gotten a lot sharper, playing for Hoffenheim under Pellegrino Matarazzo. And looks like they're going to stay up. So everything's kind of on the up and up. Why not bring him in and see what it looks like? So I got him back into the group, and we'll see what happens. That actually happens. Yeah, Musa McKinney, De La Torre, Kellen Acosta. I got Cardoso in, and the reason I bring him in because he was part of the last Nations League roster.
But he was a late call up, right? He was. He
was. But I there are other players that I maybe would have considered, but I think they'll be part of the Gold Cup, or I hope that they are. And then up top, I got Balogun, Pepe. I got Sargent in, Pulisic, Aronson, Weah, Reina, and Zendejas. So just a couple different wrinkles, but Brooks probably my biggest exclamation point in some capacity. Okay. So I'm looking forward to reading some comments about this.
Yeah. So I think when I look across all three, the main standouts are obviously we've all got Chris Richards, which to me is interesting because
I mean, obviously we have our own starting 11 predictions as we get closer to the game. We get more news about the team, but the goalkeeper is interesting for me. Yeah. Start if we want to start there, but go ahead and go.
Yeah. Okay. Start with goalkeeper. I this one to me was more of, I was thinking through the lens of who needs both tournaments. And out of the three of those, I was like, well, it's not Matt Turner. He needs to get a move, right? Or a loan.
He's not getting a move.
It's Zach Steffen needs the move. So can we get him consistent games through the summer to get the move that he needs? Ethan Horvath, depending on how it all shapes up for him, probably needs a break. Right after this many games, and he probably wouldn't think that within the national team. But after this many games in a year,
if he wins this weekend against Coventry and gets promoted, then he'll be flying high and be his vibes will be off the chart.
His vibes will be off the chart. But to me, was more of you know how it is. You've gone through 48 games in a season or 60 games that he's played, however many he's played this year. You also need to prep for the next season, right? Need a little bit of time off or rest before you go straight into the next season. So I was weighing in this summer, having been through this summer, of what it's like. Having been to a year where there was a Copa America and a Gold Cup and how the rotations and all that stuff works. So that's my thoughts on goalkeeper.
I Turner's the number one, I know, but it's going to be interesting because I think it's starting to edge closer with Turner not playing as much, Steffen not having
but the goalkeeper one is
steady. I know.
It's the one where it's that's a feeling and it's not always the same. It's you haven't played in a year and I've been playing every week. I've got a legitimate shout as a defender. A goalkeeper, sometimes there's just a little bit of that, no one's pushed him out,
Well, I'm curious. It's kind of similar to Scally versus Dest, right? Are you going to start Dest or are you going to start Scally, who's been playing more regularly? I don't know. That'll be interesting to see what happens on the right side.
I haven't played a ton either.
Anthony, right, you got Chris Richards. Do you go with a Trusty or Miles Robinson or Zimmerman, or do you think Brooks will get the start?
Yeah,
that'll be really interesting. I don't know if you bring Brooks in. Do you roll him out against Mexico? Is that you're going to throw him right back into it after so far? I don't know. There's a lot of questions around it, but I kind of just thought. I was really surprised to see him in the 60-man roster. So here we are.
Yeah.
And maybe that was your acknowledgement of, hey, we notice you and that we're giving you that. But I don't know.
It seemed more likely to me it seemed more likely to me to bring him in back into the national team fold for a Gold Cup, a tournament where he can show that leadership over multiple games than the big games.
I could see that.
We've seen him actually struggle in some games with the national team. And the way that we play, we see him dominate in certain situations in the Bundesliga and the way that he's been playing recently. So for me, it was more bring him back into the fold with another group, be a leader, a veteran in that group. And from there, can you then get him back?
Re-earn his spot.
Yeah. In a weird way, because we don't actually know what's happened behind closed doors with Greg and whatnot. But to me, it feels like earning your way back into the mix of it all with a new opportunity and potentially, obviously a new fresh coach.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack here. And also, I don't know who's going to start in the 6. Kellen Acosta is probably the most familiar with this particular group, but is there room for somebody else?
I don't think they'll start him.